Hello and welcome to Let's Review. This week, however, I won't be reviewing anything. The simple reason for that is that I didn't have enough time to record a Let's Play last week, what with a bunch of other stuff going on. But I still wanted to put out an episode of this show on Friday, so I figured since the internet likes lists, I might as well do one. So, here is a list of my top 12 favourite characters in gaming. Before I begin, I would like to clarify a couple of rules that I made up for this list. Firstly, no voice actor or actress may appear on this list more than once. The simple reason being that if I didn't impose that rule, there'd be about 3 or 4 people who would just dominate the entire list. Secondly, no player characters may be included if the game includes dialogue options for that player. The simple reason being that it's very easy to become attached to characters that you define yourself. Other than that, the only rule is that they must have been created for a video game. They can be spun off into other mediums, but they must have been created with a game in mind. And that's all the rules I've got. I would also like to clarify that this is my own personal list. You are free to disagree with it. In fact, I would love to see your own lists in the comment sections. Right, let's start at the top with number 12.
Number 12. Samantha Trainer from Mass Effect 3.
I did not expect to like Trainer that much. She was yet another character being foisted onto my ship when all I really wanted was my old crew back. And then she opened her mouth. Let's be honest about this. Trainer is frickin' adorable. She's the woman who doesn't even think to pack a toothbrush on their exodus from the planet. She's the woman who wants to get kill stickers by the galaxy map for every time she analyses the crap out of some data. I can't hate this character. In fact, I really like her. This is a phrase that's going to crop up a lot in this list, but honestly, it's the performance that really sells it.
Alex Wilton Regan's performance is exceptional, especially during some of the later scenes where Trainer is really coming to terms with the consequences of the war. She also has one of the best romances in Mass Effect 3, and for a game with a lot of very good romances, that's saying something. It's also the only female romance in the entire series which is uniquely gay, which, as someone who supports inclusivity in gaming, I think is a good thing. Samantha Trainer. She's a little awkward, but she's a damn good person, and she can always be relied upon, especially if you need a toothbrush to save the day. Number 11. Canderous Ordo from the Knights of the Old Republic series.
Over the course of the Knights of the Old Republic series, Canderous Ordo is many things. He's a soldier, he's a mercenary, he's a leader, and he's a friend. He's one of the few characters to be party members in both KOTOR's 1 and 2, although by 2 he has taken on the title of Mandalore. And honestly, there's one simple reason why he makes it onto this list. I respect him.
Despite them fighting on opposite sides during the Mandalorian War, Canderous is never bitter or resentful about his people's loss. The Jedi were stronger, and in his eyes that means they deserve to win, and that's all that really matters. When Reveiw departs to search for the Sith Empire, he leaves Canderous a mission to save the Republic, to save his people, and it's one that he will carry out however he can. Canderous Ordo, Mandalore the Preserver, a loyal friend, right to the end. Number 10. Sarah Kerrigan, from the StarCraft series.
Right, cards on the table for this one. I have not played the original StarCraft. I was a bit too young when it came out. As a result, Sarah Kerrigan gets onto this list on the merits of StarCraft 2 alone, and mostly Heart of the Swarm at that. And I'll be honest, she probably wouldn't have made it onto this list if not for one particular scene.
There comes a point in Heart of the Swarm where Kerrigan sees Reyna for the first time since changing back into the full-on Queen of Blades. And I don't know if it's the performance from Tricia Helfer or something in the animation, but you can feel the regret coming off her. She knows that she had to do it, but as a result, she can never be with the man that she loves. In one scene, Kerrigan expresses more pain and regret than most characters do over the course of whole games, and it really made me feel for her. Sarah Kerrigan, probably the most tragic figure on this list, and a hell of a performance by Tricia Helfer. Number 9. Liara T'Soni, from the Mass Effect series.
Characters that fail to change over the course of a story can get a little dull. Liara T'Soni does not get dull. In fact, her transition between Mass Effect 1 and 2 is a little jarring at first. Her change from awkward, nerdy scientist to cold information broker felt odd at first, until I started to think about it, and I realised that it all comes back to grief and how we deal with it.
Video games have a bad habit of having their characters gloss over death, or have it only affect them for the length of a decent no. Liara, by contrast, cuts herself off in an attempt to stop herself feeling the pain of her loss, and that reaction really seals her in as a character in my mind. I liked her in the first game, but it was in 2 and 3 where she really clicked with me as my Shepard's one true love. Dr. Liara Tassoni, one of the most human characters I've ever seen in a game. Number 8. Emily Caldwell, from Dishonored.
It's a classic video game cliché to have a female character, particularly a daughter or a girlfriend, kidnapped early on and dangled as a reward at the end of the game. Dishonored feels like it's doing the same thing, except that you don't rescue Emily at the end of the game. You rescue her in the second mission. This decision ends up working out really well because it lets you see the consequences of your actions, not just on the city, but on her.
The reasons I like Emily are simple, and once again, it's all in the performance. Chloe Grace Moretz manages to infuse Emily with an air of childlike innocence, tinged with a surprising amount of sadness over the loss of her mother. It's an amazingly nuanced performance, and it's the only one that I can think of where the game actually manages to kick in my paternal instincts. Emily Caldwell, I would go to the ends of the earth to protect her, which clearly means that someone involved in the design did something right. Number 7. Jeanette and Therese Vorman, from Vampire the Masquerade Bloodlines.
For anyone who's never played Vampire the Masquerade Bloodlines, it probably sounds a little bit odd that I'm putting 2 different characters in the same spot on the list. Sure, they're twins and they're played by the same voice actress, but it's still a bit of a stretch, isn't it? Nope.
Jeanette and Therese are insane. Sometime in the past, one of them died and the other snapped, taking on her personality, and honestly, I could not tell you which was which. There's something about madness that's fascinating in a character, and the Vorman sisters have it in spades. 2 personalities locked in a struggle for dominance, and, depending on player choice, either one will win and destroy the other, or they will learn to work together. And God help the human race if that happens. Once again, it's an excellent performance, this time by Grey Delisle. The confrontation between the 2 sisters is truly a sight to behold. Jeanette and Therese Vorman, 20 pounds of crazy in a 5-pound bag. Number 6. Varric Tethras, from the Dragon Age series.
A lot of people like to criticise Dragon Age 2, and to be honest, at least some of it is deserved. One thing that very few people criticise, however, is the characters that it introduced into the Dragon Age world, and by far my favourite of the bunch is Varric Tethras.
Varric is a storyteller. Not everything he will tell you will be true, some of it is almost certainly complete bunkum, but when it really matters, that pesky conscience of his will not let him back down. He'll be snarky about it, but he will have your back. And as someone whose attitude to helping people is, I'll always be there if you need me, I just reserve the right to bitch about it, I really appreciate having a character like this. Varric Tethras. He'll lie to your face, but he'll always have your back. Number 5. Cortana, from the Halo series.
I first played the original Halo back when it came out on PC in 2003, and even back then I knew the best thing about the Halo series is Cortana. Now don't get me wrong, the gameplay is still very solid and the story is interesting, but I don't think I would have kept coming back to the series the way I have done if the original idea had been played out. Yes, for any of you not in the know, Cortana was originally supposed to turn evil, and 343 Guilty Spark would not have existed. This was definitely a change for the better, in my opinion.
Cortana has something in common with Varric. She'll always be there for you, and she'll always be sarky as hell when she is. I maintain that if we want to avoid the robot apocalypse, we just need to teach them to be sarcastic. I can't actually name a single evil AI that is sarcastic, and, well, I can name a lot of AIs. Cortana stands out amongst her peers both for her wit and for her heart, because you should always remember, never make a girl a promise if you know you can't keep it. Cortana, the best AI companion that you could ask for. Number 4. Kain from the Command and Conquer series.
Kain is considered one of the most iconic video game villains of all time, and for a damn good reason. Presented to us as the leader of the Brotherhood of Naught, a cult of religious extremists obsessed with the crystal Tiberium, he is directly responsible for instigating multiple Tiberium wars over the course of the series. And yet, I can't hate the son of a bitch.
In spite of Kain's abhorrent methods, the man himself is so damned charismatic that I can believe that he could create a genuine cult of personality. Played with just the right levels of cheese by Joseph Kugan, Kain is one of the great video game villains. And let's face it, there's a damn good reason he was played by the same guy for almost 20 years while the rest of the cast changed around him. Kain, one of the most memorable villains in all of gaming. Number 3. HK-47 from the Knights of the Old Republic series.
Somewhere during the design process of the original Knights of the Old Republic game, somebody must have asked a simple question. What if C-3PO was a raging homicidal maniac? Out of that question was born HK-47, an assassin droid with a wicked deadpan sense of humour and a bad habit of calling all organics meat bags.
HK-47 is a fan favourite for a reason. He has some of the best dialogue in both Knights of the Old Republic games, and if you own a PC copy of KOTOR 2, I would strongly recommend you track down the Restored Content mod, largely because it puts back in the HK droid factory, and hearing HK argue with copies of himself is bloody hilarious. HK-47, the psychotic droid with a vicious sense of humour. Number 2. Garrus Vakarian from the Mass Effect series.
When BioWare was creating the crew of the Normandy for the original Mass Effect, I don't think they realised quite what they had on their hands with Garrus. He was a policeman, a CSEC officer who chafed under the bureaucratic restrictions of his office and was unwilling to stand by while Saren destroyed the galaxy. As such, he teamed up with Commander Shepard, and in the process, he became her most loyal friend.
Garrus is the only character in the Mass Effect trilogy who will always have your back. Every other character, even Tali, refuses to come with you at least once. Garrus is always there for you. To paraphrase the second game, if I was to walk into hell, Garrus would be the man I would want at my side. Let's face it, I might need something calibrated when I get there. Garrus Vakarian, the best friend that any Spectre could ever want. Number 1. Bastila Shan from the Knights of the Old Republic series.
For anyone who knows me, it was pretty much guaranteed that a Jennifer Hale role was going to be topping this list. She is among the best actors working in the industry at the moment, and she's my favourite actor or actress working in any medium. And the reason for that is Bastila Shan.
Bastila does not start off well. She's arrogant, she's stuck up, she's rude, and she's convinced that she's right. And it's not until you begin to know her and dig a little beneath the surface that you begin to understand why. Bastila had a rough childhood, and she saw the Jedi as an escape from that. When she was found to possess a gift for the rare art of battle meditation, it made her feel special, and being part of the team that took down Revan only exaggerated that.
It takes a decent chunk of the game, as well as an encounter with her estranged mother, for Bastila to really start opening up and admitting that she needs someone else. She needs friends, people she can rely on, people she can love. And she realizes that that's not a weakness. It's not something she needs to be ashamed of. One of my favourite scenes of all time is the scene in the Starforge where she's fallen to the dark side and she finally admits that she's fallen in love with Revan and that she's not afraid of it anymore.
The first time that I played Knights of the Old Republic, I failed to save her, and it broke my heart more than anything else I've ever played. And if that's not the mark of a truly exceptional character, then I don't know what is. Bastila Shan, my favourite character from anything ever, and a truly spectacular performance from Jennifer Hale.
And that is it for my personal favourite characters in gaming. I hope you found it interesting, and I look forward to reading your own lists in the comments section. Next week, we delve once more into Sunrider, and we take a peek behind the mask of Arcturus. Now, if you'll excuse me, I feel the need to replay Knights of the Old Republic again. I'll see you later.